Welcome back. You are watching The World Today on Africa TV, and now to the rest of the stories. The Gambia Center for Victims of Human Rights Violations has called on the government of the Gambia to impose a temporal ban on the former President Yahya Jammeh's Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction Party. This call is coming a week after thousands of supporters of the APRC demonstrated their call for the return of exiled former President Jammeh as per the agreement with ECOWAS, AU and United Nations. The center said it will also go as far as taking to the street of Banjul this Saturday to amplify its call against the APRC and its leadership.
We are strongly recommending that the government imposes a ban or suspend the APRC party until such a time that the ongoing TRRC is concluded and its recommendations implemented to enhance a smooth transitional justice process for us to reconcile and unite as people and as a nation. Finally, Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to further press on our demands for Jammeh to face justice, the Victim Center, with the support of CSOs and other well-wishers, will organize a peaceful march, a justice march, to pressurize the Gambian government to prosecute the former President Yahya Jammeh for gross human rights violation perpetrated by him and his henchmen.
The Victim Center insisted that the coming back of Jammeh from Equatorial Guinea must only be based on his arrest and prosecution for gross human rights violations. The government, through the Minister of Justice on Sunday during the official opening of the 2020 legislative year, condemned former President Jammeh as a wanted criminal who must be arrested and prosecuted for human rights violations once he returns home. From that report, we head to Nigeria, where the fight against the counterfeit drug continues in Nigeria, as the continent faces hundreds of thousands of deaths as a result of fake medication every year. According to the World Health Organization, it is suggested that a huge illegal business accounts for billions of dollars dealing in products packaged as a thought they are fit for medical use. Nigerians are now tired of this incident related to fake drugs, as a result of which they call on government to take a stronger stance.
The circulation of fake and untested drugs on the streets of Nigeria is rising. This despite government efforts to combat a growing trend for many years.
Experts say one of the major challenges in the fight against counterfeit drugs in Nigeria is the difficulty in differentiating the genuine products from the fakes. Consumers often buy fake drugs thinking they're getting the real thing.
According to the World Health Organization, over 900,000 people in Africa die as a result of taking counterfeit drugs each year. With its population of nearly 200 million people, Nigeria is particularly at risk. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, destroyed fake drugs across the country worth $13 million in 2018 alone.
Fake drugs are not properly manufactured. You find out they may contain toxic or not so good impurities that will be harmful, can be carcinogenic, causing cancer to people that take it for other reasons. A tablet may have an overdosage of a particular item to a toxic level. So the bad effect ranges from disability to death and so forth.
President Muhammadu Buhari closed the country's borders in August last year to curb the proliferation of counterfeit products, including fake drugs. However, certified vendors in Nigeria say it's time for the government to step up its measures in regulating sales and distribution of drugs in the country.
The best way to get across this problem is to control drug distribution, discourage open drug market, which is the major portal for distributing drugs in Nigeria. Getting a central drug distribution system, national distribution system, state distribution, then to the province and the individual shops of pharmaceutical premises and hospitals can lift their drugs from the province where they find themselves.
For now, purchasing and verifying drugs from only accredited outlets could be the only hope for consumers in Nigeria.
From that report there in Nigeria, now we head to South Africa and talk matters of the economy, because slow economic growth continues to retrench the banking sector in South Africa. A situation analyzed by Managing Director of the Banking Association of South Africa late last year, Kaz Kovavidia, has said that when businesses are not growing, their volumes decrease, and that ultimately affect jobs. As we feature in this report, the drive the opportunization through the technology banking policies appear both stimulating and worrying.
The banking sector is depressed when it comes to valuations compared to banking sectors in other emerging markets, which is good news for investors.
South African banks remain profitable in their own right and substantially profitable relative to balance sheet. So I would venture that it's the mood, more than anything, that's driving valuation on South African banks.
While that may be an opportunity for investors, staff are feeling the pressure because technology is beginning to turn the traditional business banking model on its head.
It's all about automation, and really it's around jobs being replaced by RPA processes. The thing is that these processes don't just start immediately. Banks obviously focus on optimization and efficiencies, and so they've been setting up processes, and they have a plan, a strategic plan. And of course there's alternatives, but the workplace of the future, it's interesting that with AI and automation, there's actually more jobs that will be created than jobs taken away.
Added to that, there are new entrants that are starting to vie for market share.
The displacement, the dislocation comes out of the technology cluster, where it's not other banks that are competing for share of market, but entirely new ventures, different industries that are giving birth to competition. So that has given the retail banking industry a substantial shake.
The local financial services worker union, SASPO, has been fighting the banks over planned retrenchments and branch closures. They are currently in the courts, trying to stop those job losses.
In an environment of unionization, it's a very sensitive topic, and so everyone has to be on the same page in terms of automation, what the workplace looks like. And I think it's a responsibility that lies not just with the business, which is banks in this case, but lies with the unions and lies with the employees. Everyone's got to take responsibility for what do we need to do to be relevant in the future.
As banks continue to watch their costs, it's probably very likely that there are going to be more retrenchments sooner rather than later, especially with those new competitors coming in.
Well, viewers, from that report there in South Africa on some economic matters, we will certainly bring this news bulletin to an end. But for more on these stories and others, you can also log on our website on iafrica.tv. Thank you very much for the pleasure of your company. Once again, I am Amadou Kante, and bye for now.